experience the grandeur of the wilderness, the magnificence of North American nature, stunning images of wildlife. Next on Profiles of Nature.
The moose, the largest member of the deer family. The biggest males can weigh almost as much as a Clydesdale draft horse. Adults are tall enough to reach tree branches 8 feet, or 2.5 meters off the ground. The first humans to dwell in these forests named this large vegetarian twig eater, moose to the native people who spoke a language known as Algonquian. Most of Algonquin Park is off limits to hunting, so the moose here are perhaps less concerned about humans. But even with that advantage, wildlife cameraman Brian Rundle has an almost uncanny ability to put the moose he approaches completely at ease.
I don't know if it works. I think it does. If you get in around them, they're nervous. They usually move off a little bit, and then they're eating. And I find that they do look at you. Just snap a few twigs, make some noise. You know, they're snapping twigs, eating. You snap a few twigs. Just stand there, be quiet. Be natural around them. And after a while, they'll just be eating. They come out and they lay down in front of me. They're just like another moose being there. They're all natural.
It's especially important at this time of year for a wildlife cameraman not to frighten or disturb his subjects. For a moose in winter, when merely staying warm is a drain on resources, lying down is more than just relaxation. It's also an important method of conserving energy.
We will return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
This portion of Discovery is brought to you in part by Buick.
Andre and Michelle are falling in love with America in their Park Avenue Ultra. They love the stopping power of Ultra's anti-lock brakes. They love the security of Ultra's dual airbags. And they have warm feelings about Ultra's available heated driver's seat. It's going to be a wonderful tour. Andre and Michelle are in love with a car that's as good as its name. Ultra from Buick, the new symbol for quality in America.
Most of the floats at Mardi Gras are made right here at Blaine Kern Artists. They make things bigger than life. But for office supplies, they make one call to Office Depot. Office Depot takes care of business for millions of companies throughout North America. From Bourbon Street to Main Street, we guarantee low prices every day.
Final call.
We've got to move fast, Kirby. I hope you booked Hertz.
Not exactly, but this company's fast.
Fast as Hertz #1 club goal?
Not exactly, but they do have a special place to pick up the car.
Like Hertz?
Not exactly, but it'll be waiting.
Under a canopy? With the keys in it?
Not exactly.
And protected from the weather?
Not exactly.
In Rent-A-Car, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. Make sure you choose the right one.
Counting on that promotion, Kirby?
No, not exactly.
Sally and I go way back. But in all these years, there's one thing I've never told her. How much she means to me.
What takes the cake? Smucker's Strawberry Preserves for a fresh taste. Jams are naturally fat-free, under 20 calories per teaspoon. Good taste starts here. With a name like Smucker's, it has to be good.
Sunday,
Deadly hiss and venomous fangs, slick and slivery, symbolic and secretive. The subject of legend and lore. To some, they're feared as evil. To others, they're worshipped as gods. But what makes them so special? Why are we obsessed with the status of the serpent? Sunday, beginning at 10 Mountain, 9 Pacific on Discovery Sunday.
To Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
Late September in Algonquin Park, and a mist rises in the cold air. The crisp early morning quiet is broken by the call of a cow moose in heat. Or is it? Brian then imitates the sound of a rutting bull moose. The calls have the desired effect. At this time of year, Brian always makes sure there's a large tree close by for protection. The bull moose during mating season has a reputation of being extremely dangerous. Brian knows that this is an exaggeration, but it's still wise to take sensible precautions. A cow moose also approaches. She sizes him up. And decides that he poses no threat. One of her hind legs is lame and doesn't seem to bend at the knee. If the injury doesn't heal, she'll have a difficult time surviving the approaching winter. Not only will she have to face the day-to-day problem of traveling through the deep snow with only 3 good legs, but predators like the wolf tend to seek out animals that display any unusual characteristics, instinctively knowing that they would make easier victims. The bull returns, probably attracted by the scent of the cow. He stands over her, but she doesn't rise. Her ears are just visible through the leaves. He licks his lips. Some think this aids in sending and receiving scent messages. The cow seems to let out a moan each time he makes the gesture, but remains on the ground. The bull continues to keep an eye on Brian even while his advances are thwarted. The next evening, at a small nearby lake, a cow and her 4-month-old calf watch as the 2 moose rekindle their relationship. A bull will stay with a cow for a number of days until she's no longer interested in mating. A second male enters the picture and attempts to mate with the other cow. He sniffs at her flanks to determine if she's ovulating. The rubbing of the chin, neck, and belly on her rump is called chinning and may help to spread his scent to make her more receptive. The lame cow rebuffs the bull's attempts. With moose, it's the female of the species who selects her mate and decides on the time and the place. The other cow is equally choosy. A calf at this age won't leave its mother's side for any reason, And so this year's offspring is always present at the conception of next year's. Moose are generally solitary animals. The only serious bonding is between a cow and her calf. And even then, after a year, the mother chases the calf away, sometimes even striking at it, before she bears her next year's offspring. This probably happens because the yearling may attract bears or wolves to the birth site and to the helpless newborn calf. The rejected yearling eventually learns that it has to fend for itself. Autumn in Algonquin is a spectacular time of the year, but black bears just don't have the time to enjoy it. A black bear's feeding habits become more and more urgent as the winter approaches. Gorging non-stop for almost 3 months, they leave no stone unturned in order to build up the thick layer of fat that will sustain them through the winter. Scientifically speaking, bears don't really hibernate all winter. It's more of a long, deep sleep with their body temperature remaining only a few degrees below normal. It's generally agreed that a bear won't go into its winter den until it's saturated with fat. But this black bear seems to have a long way to go before it reaches that stage. Stone flipping is an integral method of foraging for black bears. One strong paw slips underneath and turns it over as they quickly dip their head in to lick up any of the protein-rich insects, reptiles, or rodents that have taken short-lived refuge under the rock. Black bears are a significant threat to newborn moose calves and may be a major factor in influencing moose populations. But even a bear knows to be cautious near a bull moose. As winter approaches, food becomes less and less accessible, and for this lean bear, time is running short.
We will return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel. Nightmare in Normandy next on Fields of Armor.
I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy it hurts.
Ultimate 2 Lip Sexy. Lips stay sexy all day.
I'm too sexy for my hat. Too sexy for my hat. What you think about that?
Lip Sexy from Ultimate 2. It's on America's most wanted lips. And now, extra sexy is your gift with any $15 purchase from the Ultimate 2 counter at JCPenney.
We hadn't felt anywhere before.
The Cayman Islands.
Dive.
He's been in for almost 14 years.
You want the last bullet in it?
It's a violent profession.
The Submariners. Tonight at 11 Mountain, 10 Pacific. Only on the Discovery Channel.
The faces of Discovery are the faces of the world. The Discovery Channel. Explore your world.
At Topanga Plaza, you'll find great names like Signal.
You know what you want. Now you know where to find it. Signal, directional fashion for men and women.
Howard & Phil's Western Wear.
This fall, whether you're two-stepping or just stepping out, you'll find all your Western fashions at Howard & Phil's Western Wear.
Kids Cameras.
Presenting the new compact SLR camera from Polaroid, the Captiva. Instant pictures move into the see-through storage chamber so you can keep shooting.
Topanga Plaza. Come see what we're made of.
This week on Video Hotline, the hottest movies in town.
I'm going to put him in a box. By the book.
We always seem to meet this way. It's not going to be so easy this time.
This is the worst rescue I've ever had.
All on Video Hotline, the video store that delivers.
We now return to Profiles of Nature on the Discovery Channel.
An early snowfall in Algonquin is a reminder for these mergansers that it will soon be time to head south. Brian Rundle was once a hunter, and even after trading his gun for a camera, his tracking skills are just as useful for finding the park's growing population of white-tailed deer. Also valuable is his knowledge of wilderness survival and animal behavior, because stalking large mammals demands a great deal of skill. A deer call and the clashing antlers simulates the sound of rival males and is an effective way to get the large bucks into the open. There's no doubt that he's gotten their attention. But like the moose, the deer seem relatively at ease in Brian's presence. November is the mating season for the whitetail, and tensions are running high. A pair of males begin to spar over their territory. At this time of year, their territory consists of wherever they happen to be at the time. Although bucks spend most of the year traveling together in loose groups, during the rut, competition for females is fierce. This doe seems unusually interested in Brian. The buck keeps a wary eye on both of them. As Brian zooms in for a close-up, the buck gives the impression that she's gotten too close and chases her off. The rut will continue for almost a month, but by the end of it, the deer's energy will have to be focused on a much more difficult task, surviving the Algonquin winter. By December, the moose have settled back into their fairly easygoing daily routine, and all the tension and aggression of the mating season is forgotten. Occasionally, though, a young bull will challenge one of his older neighbors. The big, older moose seems tolerant of the challenge until one of the sharp points, called tines, pokes him in the eye, and quickly his patience is exhausted. Sparring among bull moose is usually more ceremonial than physical, with highly developed rituals designed to produce a winner without getting into serious battle. Still, though, of all the members of the deer family, the moose are most likely to hurt each other during the rut. In fact, mature bulls often receive between 30 to 50 superficial wounds every year. The less than serious nature of this battle is demonstrated when a truce is called to snack on some twigs found on the battlefield. Lunch over, it's back to the business at hand. In the next few weeks, the antlers on these bulls will fall off and won't begin to grow back again until spring. The speed at which moose antlers develop is truly amazing. The tissue that causes the spread of the antlers consists of the fastest multiplying cells that exist in any mammal, faster even than cancer cells. Racks that can weigh as much as 50 pounds, or almost 23 kilos, grow in as little as 5 months. That's 1/3 of a pound, or 150 grams a day. The younger bull scrapes at the ground, a classic sparring ritual which doesn't seem to faze the larger moose. Contrary to popular belief, there's no way to accurately determine the age of a moose by its antlers. They grow their largest when the animal is between 7 and 10 years of age. But its health and diet also play a large part in determining the size. A determined charge by the older bull, and the young moose admits defeat and scrambles away. Deep winter is the most difficult time for all animals in Algonquin. The moose has the advantage of long, thin legs to help travel through the deep snow and to step through fallen branches without getting stuck. Like the black bear, they also have built up a layer of fat which serves as both insulation and fuel for their bodies. Moose can smell low-lying plants through the snow, which provide a large part of their winter diet. The thick, shiny coats on this group are an indication of how successful their winter foraging has been. As spring approaches, the ice begins to melt, and a serious holdover from winter becomes apparent, the winter tick. This small parasite attaches itself to moose during the fall and spends the winter feeding on its blood. By spring, the ticks have grown so large that they create a considerable irritation. The moose will scratch continually and often rubs the fur off any place that it can reach or rub against a tree. Tens of thousands of ticks can attach themselves to a single animal, and in one recorded instance, a moose was found with over 100,000 ticks on its hide. By themselves, these parasites aren't particularly harmful, but with their warm coat gone and their winter reserves of fat depleted, the moose are very vulnerable to disease, or can fall victim to a sudden cold snap, especially after wet weather. These twins are almost a year old and are foraging with their mother, whom they never let out of their sight. A moose will give birth to twins during years when she's healthy, and the food has been particularly plentiful. The ragged coat on these calves looks like effective camouflage when viewed from a distance. At this age, though, these moose are almost large enough not to fear any of their natural predators. The wolves of Algonquin won't be a threat to them until they become old or injured. Summer in Algonquin and the eating is easy. Moose like secondary growth areas where the old forest has been burned or logged, and the young trees aren't much taller than the moose themselves. A yearling moose, after being driven away by its mother, can travel enormous distances before settling into a territory. Moose from Algonquin Park have been found as far afield as northern Ontario and Quebec. Once a moose establishes a territory, it won't leave unless the food supply runs out. A cow moose could spend the rest of her life within one relatively small section of forest. During the fall mating season, she'll probably be visited by a bull moose or two, but a wildlife cameraman like Brian Rundle could drop by at any time of the year. He travels deep into the park in every type of weather and commits a great deal of time.
I have the time. I work at a car plant, and being in the car industry, you're laid off quite a bit, so that gives me a lot of free time to go out shooting. If I'm on a night shift, I'll be out all day, or I'll be out all weekend. I just enjoy it. I don't actually know how to explain why you do things. You enjoy it, you're out there, it's peaceful, you like it.
The Moose of Algonquin, the twig-eating monarch of the forest.
Sealed in a sub, tonight on Submarines, Sharks of Steel.
This portion of Discovery is brought to you in part by Office Depot.
No other city in the world has more beautiful neon signs than Las Vegas. And nobody manufactures more neon signs than Yesco. They buy raw materials from out of state, but they get office supplies right here in town from Office Depot. With 350 stores from Vancouver to Vegas, millions of other companies also take care of business at Office Depot. Because when they want guaranteed low prices, Office Depot is a sure bet.
It's those incredible animals and those incredible animal rescuers. I'll introduce you to a remarkable woman who has dedicated her life to rescuing and rehabilitating abandoned wildlife.
People say, oh, I love jaguars, or I love leopards. I've always wanted to have one. A lot of people mistake love for possession.
You'll meet California's coastal rescuers.
It's a special type of group of people that do this kind of work. It's not people that are out to make their first million, this type of thing. It's people that are dedicated and down to earth.
We'll visit a penguin patient and a hedgehog hospital.
Hello?